Hello everyone, this is going to be your new moon in Cancer psychic astrology reading. It's occurring at 4 degrees 08 of Cancer, and it's happening on June 25th, 2025, 6:32 a.m. Eastern Time, but times will vary depending on your location. You know, this is very similar to the solstice chart. It's only, not even a week later after the solstice chart, after the solstice ingress. And because the Jupiter is joined with the Sun and the Moon here too, this is a big thing. And many of the big players, well, the big players of the Jupiter-Sun conjunction squaring the Saturn-Neptune in Aries, this is very similar to the solstice chart. So if that interests you, how all these big new ingresses are going to be affecting you personally, the solstice chart is still available, the solstice chart read, the psychic astrology reading, for the rest of June if you're watching this in June. And the only way to reach me is through my website, vickieverlie.com. I won't be messaging you on social media. So if you do want to see how that would impact you, and the solstice chart is always for the upcoming season. So minimally the next 3 months, but it can even be the next 6 months until the full moon in Cancer, or some of the things are the whole year. But it definitely extends beyond just that day or that little time frame, okay? Okay, so let's dive into this chart. Yeah, this is that Jupiter. So, we always have a new moon in Cancer every year, and we have a full moon in Cancer every year in, December usually. But it's not only always joined by Jupiter. That's what's making it it's like supercharged, because Jupiter always amplifies, makes bigger, extends more energy, usually is very positive, but it can also, Jupiter makes more of whatever. And sometimes in the sign of Cancer, because there is that whole moody energy with the sign of Cancer, there can be a little bit of it could, the word that's coming to mind is melancholy. That's the word that my guides are giving me. Yes, so might be a little bit of melancholy or sorrow, but it's going to, watch, this is a powerful new moon, and it's so supercharged. You have to take the reins, and where do you want to direct your energy? And if you are feeling a little bit melancholy, as they're saying, you may want to, do something to lift yourself up. What I'm feeling like is take a little nap, do a reset. That's really what I'm getting. The other thing that's grabbing me here is with this in the sign of Cancer, we have Mercury at 28 degrees of Cancer, making a beautiful sextile to Uranus. Now, Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, so communication is very, very key. Now, neither Taurus nor Cancer are necessarily known for their communicative things. Especially Cancer, you're more emotional, you're more intuitive, you're more nurturing, these kinds of things. This is all a big part of the energy that's going to be coming forth with this Cancer new moon. But with this Mercury sextiling the Uranus, writing, I'm feeling like writing could be super powerful. Journaling, writing down your thoughts. Just do it, or doing the morning pages, just start writing. A lot of times when I go to the lake to channel, I'll just start out by saying, oh, it's a beautiful day today. I'll just start writing stuff like that. Oh, there's this kind of bird over there, or whatever's going on, just to get my hand in motion, And then once you get your hand in motion, then there could be some really deep, and my guys are saying even profound insights that could come through, major downloads from the higher realms. Uranus is that higher realm. Uranus honestly is the ET realm. That's really what it's about. It's about outer space, ET, advanced civilization, radio, television waves, Wi-Fi, all this kind of stuff, space programs, and so, but it could be brought in, and with Mercury in Cancer, if that kind of freaks you out, it does probably freaks out a lot of people, then Mercury in Cancer, it could bring it in a way, or present it in a way that's calming, soothing, that makes you feel nurtured, and that it's okay, and not so, wow, way out there, outer limits kind of energy, more in the soothing, calming kind of energy. Processing emotions, really looking at your feelings, really grounding in these higher ideals. Because after all, that's kind of been, I feel, that's kind of been the whole, Uranus is getting ready. I'm going to do a whole video, of course, on Uranus moving into Gemini in, I think it's July 7th or July 9th. I don't have it right in front of me. Early July. But that's Uranus's journey. It's finishing up its journey through the sign of Taurus, which has lasted, oh, I'm not even sure, I think 7-8 years, something like that. But it's been a while, you know, it's been in there for quite a while. And this is wrapping this up. And I think a lot of one of the things that's happened is, you know, the cyber currencies and everything are more, you know, more prevalent than ever. You know, it's like higher technology with Taurus money, okay? But also, Taurus, the other way around, okay, is that what can Taurus do for Uranian energy? So that's what Uranus did for Taurus. It digitized money transactions, and all you have to do is tap, and off you go. You know, it's going to, if you watch, I did a video a while ago about, and I guess there is even a ring, but I feel like in the future there's just this little thing on your finger. You don't even need cards or anything, you know, so that's probably where we're kind of heading. I did a whole video on it, if you want to, I think it's called Visions of the Future, and it talks about dentistry too, which is another thing, they're growing teeth now, I heard, that I saw in that vision. But anyways, back to this. So that's what Uranus has done for Taurus. Taurus is grounding. And well, here's another thing that Uranus has done for Taurus, because Taurus is music. And here I go. I'm not going to get on my soapbox for too long. But here comes AI and music and art. It's Venus, you know. And Uranus in Taurus, ruler of mostly music, but art as well. You know, we got all this AI stuff. We've got auto-tune. We've got AI music. I mean, if you ever watch, I'm sure many of you who are into music watch Rick Beato. He talks a lot about it, and he talks about how some of the big music platforms, you know, you can't even find the artist's name because it's not. They're just creating their own AI music and putting it up in the charts so that they can collect all the royalties. So that's, you know, that's some of the dark side a little bit coming through, and many artists and musicians are really up in arms about, you know, about the whole AI thing on the arts and everything. But that's what Uranus has done to Taurus, okay? Now, what could Taurus do for Uranus? Because Uranus is so out there, it is so ET, it is so way up in the clouds, way up in the upper echelons of energy fields, or you know, however you want to say it. Well, Taurus can ground it. Taurus can make it not so far up. Taurus can simplify it in a way that's easy to understand and demystify it. Simplify and demystify. Those are two big words that are coming through from the guides. And speaking of, you know, me kind of talking with the guides and my channeling and stuff, I have written 3 books, channeled material. If you haven't checked them out, they're available. But anyways, more and more people are channeling than ever. You know, more and more people are channeling than ever. And that's great. I'm all for it. Because it is our natural thing. It is our natural way of being. And lately, what was the thing that came out lately? The telepathy tapes. Which I haven't really listened to all of it. I've heard some of the interviews with the, not only the psychiatrist, but the woman who wrote the book who documented the whole thing. But I mean, because I'm a believer, you don't have to sell me on that, or ETs either. You know, you don't have to convince me. Or it's just like back in the day, people would be the ghosts. Oh, ooga booga ooga, and it's just like, yeah, and you know, it's like it was just always like, yeah, of course, and you know. But that's just me because I'm way out there to begin with. And I came up in a family. I had my awesome grandmother and my uncles who were into it from, you know, I was raised around it. So it wasn't this far off. I didn't have this really staunch or even religious beliefs, you know, preventing me from exploring any of that. It was already accepted and explained to me at a young age in a way I could, talking about, you know, Taurus, put it in simple terms in a way I could understand. I've told this story before, but it's coming through again. When I was a kid, I was seeing the blue lights around my hands. And I was going, look, my hands are touching, but they're not. I saw the blue aura of my fingers touching each other. I go, look, it's touching, but my fingers aren't touching. And I was at my mom, this lady used to babysit for us, me. I think it was just me then, my brother was. I was real little. And I'm telling the babysitter, I'm going, look, I'm telling her the whole thing. Well, there's blue lights around my hands and my fingers are touching. She's going, no, there's nothing there. My mom, you know, I was like, wow, I wanted to scream it from, so cool. It was my big discovery. And then I tell my mom, she picks me up and I'm just like, look, you know, and she's going, I don't see anything. she goes, you're dreaming. That was my mom's, always her answer to everything. Oh, you were dreaming. You know, it was just a dream. I wasn't dreaming. I always knew I wasn't. So, but anyways, not long after that, we visited my grandma. Maybe it might have even been that same day because she lived near where the babysitter lived. We might have stopped there on the way back or whatever. But it wasn't long after. And I tell my grandma, I go, look, look, look. There's this blue lights around my fingers. And she goes, it's okay. That's just your aura, and everybody has one. End of story. That's all I needed to hear from the onset, okay? I didn't need to be told I was dreaming or, God forbid, oh, you're crazy and they're going to lock you up and different things. My grandma just said, oh, that's just your aura and everybody has one. And that was all I needed to hear. I was totally satisfied. But I wasn't gonna drop it because I was just like, this is amazing, this is amazing. So I was lucky enough to have that guidance and have that person who, believed me and just told me in simple terms what it was. I don't know how I got off on this whole tangent. Oh, because the Taurus can do that, yeah. So these things that once were way far out and woo-woo, outer limits and scary and, all this kind of, what Uranian energy can be perceived as, is maybe not so scary. More and more people are starting to understand. It's becoming grounded in our earth energy. Okay, and then with this Mercury, this beautiful Mercury sextile, well, not only can it be like, okay, I have a way to process it mentally, Mercury, that feels safe and okay for me. I don't feel threatened or scared by it. I feel like it's okay. What I'm picking up is, for some reason, it's coming through, like maybe even starting to remember past lives of these type of things, living in different kinds of societies other than, what the recorded history of Earth, So, it's pretty intense and it's fun and exciting. Okay, so I'm looking here. We got not only is the Uranus sextile there, but it's making this opposition here to our girl Lilith. In the sign of Scorpio, that can be kind of harsh. That can be kind of not gentle. Where the Mercury and Cancer can be kind of gentle, or like my grandma said, it's just your aura, it's okay, no biggie, everybody's got one. It was just like, hey, what's this? Oh, it's your belly button, everybody's got one, It wasn't made any crazy, scary, weird thing. But Lilith can be kind of just, and in Scorpio too, just kind of like, psh. And Lilith in Scorpio wants to go deep, wants to go real deep. Wants to get way down into the, in the, out of my hair, and down in a hole, feeling so low, I want to fly. Yeah, Uranus wants to fly. Yeah, down in a hole, but it's, down and dirty almost, really, no mercy I'm hearing. Wow. Yeah, Lilith doesn't have a whole lot of, where the Cancer energy can be really kind, like a loving, like my grandmother, nurturing, supportive. Lilith could just cut you right off. She doesn't pull any punches, as they used to say. So she doesn't pull any punches, and so it could be. It could go either way. Maybe it's a harsh shock, a harsh reality, but then you have time to sit with it and process it and get comfortable with these different ideas. It might not be anything about ETs or anything like that for anybody, or psychic or anything I'm talking about. It could be some shocker in your family, or some shocking, with the Scorpio, that sexuality. Maybe somebody's coming out, and if you're in a situation, that's also not such a big deal as it used to be, but it could be like that. Maybe somebody's going, oh, I never suspected. Or again, I'm picking this up, and I picked this up not too long ago. I think somebody's going to find out that their parentage or something was not what they thought it was, or that there was this, maybe somebody's got another family that they knew nothing about. It's one of those kind of shockers. Like, let's just use that as an example. Say you find out your dad or your grandfather or somebody had this whole other family, and it's like, what? And it feels like a betrayal, perhaps, or it feels like a big shocker. And there was some sexual, he was having sex with somebody else, energy. But then, you sit with it and you resonate and you take it to the higher level. And then you find that you have these new siblings. or these new aunts and uncles that you never knew about, this new whole branch of your family. And maybe they're really cool, and maybe you just fit right in with them, and it's awesome, you know. Or even, you know, some people, it seems rare in this day and age, but I'm sure it's not, you know. If your child or somebody in your family comes out as trans or gay or something like that, and at first you're like, oh no, you know, it's a big shocker, but then you remember the, you know, Mercury in Cancer, you start thinking about, well, I still love them, they're still, you know, I still care about them, or if your sibling or somebody, you know, and you fall into the, you know, the love. You remember the love. You cognitize the emotional connection that you have. Cognitize, is that even a word? I'm not sure. Yeah, so it could be intense like that. And when Uranus, at this 29 too, that's that Regulus or whatever. No, Regulus is the Leo thing, but this is the lose your head thing, you know. So you could lose your head, something way shocking overboard. Also, when the planet's getting ready to leave a sign, sometimes that's the big blast, you know. That's the big reveal. That's the big, you know, final, the encore performance, or, you know, the big finale, That's what they're trying to get me to say. I'm seeing people coming out on stage bowing and stuff. So the grand finale. This is the grand finale. This is the grand finale of Uranus and Taurus, and Lilith is right in there with it. And she's, again, they keep telling me she's not pulling any punches, Yeah, this is all these squares between the Cancer energy and the Aries energy, and it's coming through all the way through, starting with, you know, the here with the low degrees, and then we've got the middle degrees, and then we've got the Mercury squaring up with Chiron. So there again, what does Chiron ultimately really want to do? It really wants to heal those wounds. It really wants to, it's not trying to be a jerk, you know. Chiron was actually really advanced. Chiron had the courage to step out of the crowd. And, you know, he was of the downtrodden, not the Minotaurs, what are they called? Not the Pegasus, not the Minotaurs. Oh, gosh, I can't even think of it. The half man, half horse people. So they were, you know, centaurs. There we go. So he was a centaur. And, you know, the centaurs were looked at as, they were definitely discriminated against. They were looked down at. They were thought to be stupid, brutes, you know, just, you know, the scum of the earth, the lower class of the creatures or whatever. But it was, you know, he was taken out of that, and he was given an education, and he became this brilliant everything. He's got so many things Chiron is got involved in, just for giving it. But it took courage, because the other centaurs were like, well, who do you think you are? You know, oh, you think you're better than us, or you think this, or you think that. It's almost like they were thugs, you know. There was this thug kind of energy around the centaurs, you know. And he went on to study and not beyond study. You know, study, yes, you need the tools, you need the, you got to get your 1,000 hours or your 10,000 hours in, but then you rise to a new level, then you take it from there. Then you take it to the Uranian realms, or even the Neptunian realms. But then, like, it's like learning to play an instrument, you know. You learn how to play the instrument, you struggle, practice, and then you learn how to master your instrument. And then once you master your instrument, there's no more thinking about how to play anything or what. You're just like in flow, and you can just start writing, or even just like, even if you're not writing a song, or, you know, you wouldn't call it that, but just jamming and not just copying somebody else's solo, for instance, if you're a musician, you know, or an art style. You know, you practice, and at first you copy people's art styles, and then you find your own, you sing your own song, you find your own juice, and that's where the magic really starts to happen. But there's this period of struggle, and that's what these squares can be. You know, that comes in here too with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction as well. Very similar energy, because after all, Neptune is creativity, right? But Saturn's like the taskmaster. You got to practice. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, kids. People don't even know what that means anymore. I remember saying that, and my daughter's like, what are you talking about? Because well, how do you become a viral sensation? I guess luck, really, but you know, practice, practice, practice. How do you get good at anything? How do you hone your skills, your craft? How do you bring the ethereal, the imagination, the juice, you know, the juiciness of spirit realm, of the channeling, of connecting with spirit, of doing something where you're just losing track of time. You got to just keep doing it and doing it and doing it till you don't have to think about it anymore. Like driving a car. You know, when you first start driving a car, it's really difficult. Oh, I'm going to put it in reverse. And then after a while, you don't even, it becomes automatic. And then when it becomes automatic, you know, that's when the expansion happens. But first you got to do this Saturnian work. You know, you got to do that Saturnian work and, you know, go for it. And Taurus is very much like that too. One step at a time. One foot in front of the other. So, and Venus is in Taurus here now too. And this is this mid-degree here. What did I see? Oh yeah, Venus is opposing Juno here. These two gods of beauty and grace, these feminine energies, you know, this higher archetype of the feminine energy, and it's also going with the nodes too. So how can we make our life more beautiful? How can we make our life more sophisticated is a word that comes through. Deal with our issues with sophistication, with grace, with dignity, grace. These are the kind of words that come to mind. With understanding, gentleness. You know, this is the way to go. This is the way to tame the wild beasts that are that are roaring up, or you know, coming to festering, or you know, kind of brewing at this time. The other thing is, this whole new moon thing is making an exact sextile to Virgo. Well, Mars and Virgo, excuse me. But yeah, so Mars and Virgo, it's a good time to really, you know, accomplish things and get things done. You know, it could give you, because this is water, you know, this is a lot of water here. Well, we got the fire, this is lighting the fire, but we got this look at this water, this big stellium in water here, right? This whole, there we go, this whole Cancer lineup here. Very watery energy. So the Mars can be the, you know, the get up and go. Okay, let's make a plan. Let's sketch out. Let's do an outline. Let's write up a schedule. You know, because it's great to have all these great dreams and everything, but there has to be a way to kind of hone it in, kind of get everything in a row, kind of get everything lined up here. And I feel like that's where this Mars can come in here. This is also a good time to maybe change a diet of some sort. If you've been wanting to make some big dietary change in the food that you eat, even with the Taurus energy too, if you've been wanting to go, whatever it is, it's going to be different for everybody. This Mars here in Virgo, that could really give you, I don't want to say the willpower, because it shouldn't be like resisting, you know, it should be more like enthusiasm to dive into the new regiments, you know, some kind of health regiment. Diet comes to mind really strong, you know, or just making little changes, you know, eliminating salt, or cutting back on the salt, or, you know, olive oil for butter or stuff like that. And those kinds of things, I know it just doesn't taste the same. But you get used to it. You know, after a little while, I can't stand butter, really strong butter taste on anything anymore. Well, some things, every now and then. Sometimes I just want like a, you know, I want a, not a croissant, but the nook and cranny thing, the round thing, with all the butter melted in it and some jam on top. You know, sometimes you just really want that. But a lot of times, we went to breakfast not too long ago, and I could taste the butter on the eggs and everything. And it probably wasn't even real butter. It was probably butter flavored or whatever, you know. But it was just like, ew, you know, just really, that strong butter flavor anymore, you know, because I'm so used to not having it, that it just doesn't even bother me anymore, you know. I got used to it. You adapt and you get used to it, you know. And with salt, too much salt too. Like, I like a little salt, but where do we go? We went somewhere too, and we had some French fries, and they were so salty I couldn't even eat them. You know, they were just too salty. So, you know, you make these changes. It's weird for a minute, But it's almost like that 1,000-hour thing, or whatever, 1,000 times repetitive things. It's this, actually, I'm going to look what the name of this is. Because that's bothering me now. Actually, I'm in my kitchen. English muffin. Because I have some. That's what made me think of that right away. I just got some. English muffins with the nooks and crannies. Sometimes you just got to have an English muffin. But, it's not the thought. Give it a little time. This could give you that discipline. What do they say? I think it's a couple weeks or something. If you do it for a couple weeks, the urge goes away, and your body adapts, and you become used to things. To me, and salt. What garlic powder to me gives a very similar. It satisfies my. If I'm cooking like a soup or something like that, and I think it tastes it needs a little salt, I'll put garlic powder in, and it seems to, it seems to, for me, it satisfies whatever that is, that urge for the salt. Wasn't there a thing like different parts of your tongue taste this part tastes salt and whatever, but anyways, Mars and Virgo, and the South Node being there too, it could help you just drop that stuff. Just drop it. I don't need it anymore. And give you that discipline. You might have 1 or 2 uncomfortable days, or just like if any of you have quit smoking. I'm sure many of you have. I was a heavy smoker for a long time. I've been quit over 20 years ago now. But I smoked cigarettes. I smoked 2 cartons of cigarettes a week at the peak when I quit. So, I was a heavy smoker, and I quit while being in my family's bar, working there, and being there every night with people smoking all around me too. So talk about temptation. It was like, I had these twisty things, these, I don't know what they were, but I used to sit there and twist these things. My hands, I found that when I quit smoking, that it was, it was my hands. It was more than anything. It's like, well, what do I do with my hands now that I don't have a cigarette in my hand? It wasn't the oral thing as much, because everybody's like, oh, get a sucker or eat pretzel sticks, and it wasn't the oral fixation. It was, what do I do with my hands? So, but again, you fight through that first little bit of time, and then, it's smooth sailing. I would never think of having a cigarette now. Ugh, I can't stand the smell of them. And that's, when I smoked, I was just like, oh, you guys, they're exaggerating. Come on, you can't really smell it, please. Can you drama queen much? I didn't believe it. And it's a thing. It is absolutely a thing. It gets on your clothes. If you're even I come home from somewhere, even being like outside, I used to say, we're outside. How can you say blah, blah, blah? There's no way you can't say that outside you can smoke, blah, blah, blah. Even if I'm in close proximity of somebody who's smoking and we're outside, I get home, I could smell the cigarette smoke on my clothes. It's real. But anyways, if you're a smoker and you're not ready to quit, I'm not preaching, okay? Well, you can do that in your own time. But there's just that little bit of fight, and this Mars and Virgo, because that it's good for you, it's going to make you feel better. Once you just get over that hump, it feels like this is a lot of getting over a hump in a lot of ways. Whether it's mastering your instrument, or mastering your art form, or mastering if you play sports, because Jupiter rules Sagittarius, which is sports, mastering, becoming better at the sport you participate in. Whatever you're trying to master, there's this friction. Because we look at all the squares. Look at this. This keeps grabbing my attention. You know what it reminds me of? This is just the squares from the Aries stuff to the Cancer. They seem like magnets to me or something. Those squares, you can buy like squares, magnets, like, they come in like a rectangle. People use them for like crafts to make refrigerator magnets and stuff like that. But these remind me of magnets. I keep wanting to say that. So there is maybe this magnetism, or there's something to that. I'm not quite grasping what they're trying to show me, but it keeps looking like magnets to me. But speaking of magnets, if you're try to put the magnets together in the wrong way, there's this invisible, there's a resistance. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, so maybe this resistance, all you have to do is maybe get past it, but also sometimes it's just you turn the magnet the other way, and then then it locks, then it sticks, then it's there, you know. It could be either one or all of the above, you know, on different situations. So there is just a lot of energy going on here. It's just, you know, it's almost combustible. The way out, through the Cancer energy, through nurturing care, self-care, being kind to yourself and others, being nurturing, kind, loving, compassionate, processing those emotions, finding a way to process those emotions, maybe just by writing is so strong. And again, like I said, sometimes if I don't have anything, I'll just start writing. Oh, it's a beautiful day here at the lake, and I see the bird in the tree, and there's some people over, you know, I'll just start writing what's going on, and then before you know it, we're off to the races, you know. So sometimes, or if it's processing feelings about a relationship, you know, just start writing that about that person, you know, and it'll come. If you show up, it'll come. Not if you, I was almost going to say if you build it, it'll come. But no, if you show up, it'll come. It wants to come. It wants to come through you. Spirits, your guides and angels are here. They want to help. They want to come through you. They want to comfort you. They want to help you align with your soul mission and your soul path and what you're supposed to be doing here. Okay? On this earth journey, they wanted me to say as a little final note. Yeah, so powerful energy. Again, I am offering that solstice reading. If you're watching in June and you haven't got yours yet, this is a big year to get it because of the Jupiter and all the stuff that's going on. Plus, we'll look at any major transits to your chart. This will be the last also astrology reading I'll be offering this year. Pretty solid on that. So if you do like this more of this psychic astrology thing and you wanted to get it for yourself, head over to my website, vickieverlie.com. You can sign up there. I do have, you know, other readings too, tarot and other things available too, psychic tarot. And I also am over on Patreon too, because after all, I am an artist and a creator. And Patreon is for a patron of the arts. Patreon's become this a whole other thing lately. Have you noticed that? Even like big celebrities have Patreons, and I'm just like, are you really a starving artist? Or I'm not starving artist, but you know, it's supposed to be for people. The initial thing of Patreon was to, you know, help artists, give them a leg up. So if you have homes on both coasts, and I don't know if you need a Patreon, maybe think about Substack instead to charge for content. You know? But maybe that's just where it's going. I mean, I'm not the owner of Patreon. They can let it go wherever it wants to go. But it just seems like a little bit like, really? You have a Patreon? You think you really need that? I don't know. But that's just, you know, who cares? If they want to have a Patreon, let them have a Patreon. But I have one too, and it is more for the original intention of, so I can create my decks, my books, and all the stuff that I do, and my YouTube videos like you're watching right now. And I do, because of, to show my appreciation, I do post weekly readings over there too. So check it out if you're interested, and if you don't, it's cool too. And be sure to hit a like and subscribe on this one to activate the algorithm. It's much appreciated. In the meantime, woo, time. Yeah, let's hit that like and subscribe. I hope that you'll remember that you're love and beauty incarnate. Happy new moon. Happy solstice, too. If you end up not ordering the reading, I want to wish everybody a happy solstice. It is a big turning point. It is a change of season. It does activate the energy for at least the next 3 months, if not 6 months to a year. Hang in there, everybody. Let's get over that hump. And I'm hosting this on Wednesday, too, on hump day. So anyways, I'll talk again soon, and have a great one. Bye.